Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Kona wanted to come up and say hi. Now she's going to go. All right. I hope you guys are having a great week so far. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I am the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast and media company. Also the host of the Blended podcast, which is the newest conversation in diversity and inclusion, and also the CEO of Ships. I'm going to apologize right now because I have a little bit of a issue with my computer, so you probably can hear a little bit of whirring, but don't worry, I'm going to get that fixed, just not for today's show, unfortunately. So anyways, let's dive right in, and then I'll tell you who our guest is for today, because I didn't actually tell you who that was going to be last week. So let's do this. All right, what have we got coming up first? So this week's episode, I need to restart that. This week's episode is our Woman in Supply Chain episode with Susan Walsh, the classification guru. If you have not gone to check it out, we released this episode over on our YouTube channel, the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube channel. So if you want to see this podcast in video, head over there and go and check that out. You can also check this out on the Let's Talk Supply Chain .com under podcasts. You can also check it out wherever you subscribe to our show. We're talking all about her journey, and she's been all over the place. She even started her own store, and that didn't work. And then she got into data, and now she is known affectionately as the classification guru. And I can't wait for you guys to hear all about her journey. So go and check that out. What else have we got? We've got some upcoming events. So where are we going to be? So June 8th, I'm going to be with Four Kites and Cardinal Health. That is today, actually, at 1 p.m. Eastern. We are talking about building a cognitive supply chain with real-time visibility. Then on June 15th, Sarah Scudder, that's right, the packaging, I call her the packaging guru. I mean, she knows everything about packaging. Her and I are doing a fireside chat for the Canadian Health Food Association, all about sustainable packaging, and hopefully we'll see you there. What else have we got? Mercado is coming up. We've got Manifest that's coming up in January, and we also have a few more things going on that you're going to find out. So we post about all of our upcoming events every single Sunday on LinkedIn and across our social media. So go and check that out on Sunday evenings because I think we have a bunch of new events that we're going to be adding onto that this Sunday. I'm also going to be participating in the Four Kites Summit next week, and hopefully we're going to have a post on that coming up this week sometime, and you guys can register for that as well. What else have we got? Well, what I want to tell you guys is that we are going to start doing some giveaways on Thoughts and Coffee. So for any of you that participate the most, so we want you to participate on every single episode of Thoughts and Coffee. And if you participate the most, you are going to win something from our shop. So if you go to letstalksupplychain.com, we've got the shop on our website. Go and check that out. And we are going to be giving some really awesome giveaways starting the end of this month. So can't wait to, share that with you and see who the winner is this month as well. Yesterday, I posted that I got my very own patent. Let me get that put up here because I know I posted a picture and I want to share that with you guys. I got my first United States of America patent for a product that I've been working on for about 3 years. It's not yet on the market, but I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. I'm super, super excited about it. And then what else is happening? Oh, I've got some really, really big announcements that I am going to share with you next week, which I can't wait to tell you. I mean, this, some of these announcements are going to be a game changer, and I cannot wait. We already have some amazing conversations happening over in our comments. I've got to go and check out my personal LinkedIn as well, because I'm sure there's a bunch of conversations that are happening over there. But before I do that, let's invite our guests up to the stage. Good morning, Holly. How are you?
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm doing great. Thanks, Sarah. Great to be
All
here.
the way from Michigan.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like from you, it's like about 5 hours, I think. So it's
Maybe
it's a
like a
distance.
4-hour drive.
Yeah.
But it might be a little bit longer because the borders still aren't open. But
Right.
anyways, we
We'll
don't
get
need to get
there.
into that. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody who doesn't know you?
So thanks, Sarah. My name's Holly Qualman. I am the corporate vice president of marketing and client solutions for Apex Logistics. I have been in the supply chain and logistics industry for uh, 13 years, 12, 13 years. Hopefully I'm not dating myself too much, but I
No,
have
not long
yeah.
either.
So I drank the juice, I guess, when I was about 12, 13 years ago, and I've been doing this ever since. I started out in my career in marketing in general, media and marketing, prior to coming into this industry, and I honestly thought it was going to be a temporary thing, and here I am, and I wouldn't be doing anything else. So love it.
Right? I mean, we all sort of seem to fall into supply chain and then we absolutely love it. So I love that. And just so you guys know, we've also put in the comments, we have a supply chain dictionary. It's 107 pages full of acronyms. If you want to get yours for free, we've also put a comment in there. I don't know what is in my blood this morning, but I'm just giving away everything. And I'm super, super excited about that. All right. So, Holly, we're going to start with our question of the week. So, the question of the week this week is around what do you want to learn more about in supply chain? So I get this question all the time, right? You know, I want to get into supply chain or I'm in supply chain and I want to pivot what I'm doing in supply chain. So, and a lot of the times I'm talking about, you know, getting some tech experience behind you because especially as we move into this next era of supply chain, you need to know a little bit about tech. But what is the one thing? You've been in it for 13 years. I've been in it for over 20 years. What's the one thing that you want to know more about?
Honestly, so I actually want to dive deeper into the customer side, as in I mean I'm in freight forwarding, right? So our customers are shippers. So I think that when it comes to supply chain itself, I'm actually more interested in what the um, the value chain is. So I'm value chain versus supply chain. So for those of you who may not know the difference, so the value chain is the supply chain, as we all know it, is the process of getting freight, right, or getting a product from um, manufacturing, if you will, to the end consumer. And then value chain is actually focusing more on the raw materials and how each component or each node in the value chain adds additional value to create that product then that goes out to the customer. And I think that there's not a lot of focus on value chains. There's not as much focus on value chains within the supply chain arena that there needs to be, because that's really what drives the shippers and our customers per se, right? That's what drives the companies to invest in their individual products, and to make those decisions about their supply chain and how they're going to organize their transportation and their warehousing and distribution, and their manufacturing. So it's a kind of broad, but that's kind of where I would be the most interested to dive even further deeper into. So
I think I would as well. So
yeah.
for this question of the week, we always ask it every single Wednesday morning across our social media. And we've changed it up a little bit. I did a video for this week's question of the week and just sort of talking about how I want to learn more about sustainability. I mean, it's such a really, really broad topic and it covers so many things. And because, like you said, supply chain goes from like sourcing to delivery to the end consumer, there's a lot of different ways that we can be more sustainable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to a lot of people that could be overwhelming. And for me, I just want to learn what those opportunities are, with sustainability on all aspects of the supply chain. So super, super big, big, big topic, but definitely something that I want to learn more about. And I think value chain is a really good one as well. So I would just want to send a quick hello to Gail. Nanda, and Audrey, who's joining us over on my personal LinkedIn page. I want to give you a shout out and thank you so much for being here. So I think the next part of our conversation is about my thoughts and coffee post. So I post every Sunday a bit of my thoughts from the week, and usually it's more towards leadership rather than supply chain. And so this Sunday I was talking about, are you pursuing your dreams? Because I've been thinking about this, right? I've got a lot of balls in the air. I'm doing Let's Talk Supply Chain, Blended, I'm doing Ships. They're all kind of correlated, but also, you know, what is it that we're doing every single day towards really pursuing what that dream looks like? And what does that dream look like for you? A lot of times I think we get caught up in our day-to-day and just sort of doing, right? I know I do. And so I wanted to sort of ask everybody, what does it mean to pursue your dream? What is that dream that you're pursuing on a day-to-day basis? So when you saw this post, what did you think, Holly?
Well, that's a great question. So, you know, I do in what I do, I guess I say I'm the, you know, VP of marketing, and I am, I certainly own that component of what I do. But I have been, I stay, one of the main reasons I stayed in the industry is because of all of the different components and facets that go into, I mean, freight, commodities, getting a product to the consumer. It's a fascinating, you know, it's really a fascinating world. So as I was selecting, you know, where I was going to go in my career, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really have an initial plan. So I just kind of learned as much as I could about everything. So gosh, when we say follow your dreams, I can't really say that there was one particular dream that I have in it. It's just like, this is my life, and this is like being successful in this life is my dream.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. And, you know, I think it's also about whether a career or a career path kind of chooses you as well, right? Because I know.
Yes, and that's probably what happened with me. Yeah. Because I can tell you how whatever happened and all the different like component or areas that I moved into throughout my career, I didn't specifically necessarily go after that area, but it kind of called me. So yeah, I agree.
Awesome. I love that. Well, one of the shirts that I wear all the time is "Don't quit your daydream." Talk less and listen more, I think it's what it says. And we've got that over on our shop. But it's something that reminds me, right, on a day-to-day basis, you know, what is that dream? Don't quit your daydream. And one thing that Tyler Perry said in an interview that I saw a couple of years ago that really stuck with me as well is miracles happen every single day. He tells himself that on a daily basis to get him to where he's going and what that dream looks like for him. So just a few things to consider as you go into your day to day and thinking about your dreams, thinking about pursuing your dreams, taking small steps every single day to make that happen. The consistency is where you are going to be and how you're going to shine. And Kasif, just want to say hi to you over on my personal LinkedIn page as well. And now we need to get into our supply chain topics. So the first one, where's the first one? I'm not even ready for this. All right. So the first one, we're talking about sustainable packaging. Now, I don't know if you guys saw this. You know that I love the hustle. And this article came up and I was like, how does this really pertain to supply chain? And Holly even asked me this morning, she's like, why are we talking about this article? But I talk about, I mean, being friends with Sarah Scudder, I don't know how you don't talk about sustainable packaging all the time, as I do. I at least talk about it on a weekly basis in our clubhouse room. And it's so fascinating to me because the packaging is really what drives a lot of sustainability in our supply chains, right? And so this article, I want to ask you, is this a good idea? This is the question that I have for you guys. So Colgate Palmolive has partnered with Liquid Glide to put this on all of their packaging to really help get the remnants of product, like you can see there on the screen, the ketchup, out of the bottle or toothpaste more easily. And so I've got a couple of questions about this, but I think I'm going to let Holly weigh in on this before we get into it a little bit, because I think there's a few questions around this. What do you think, Holly?
I think that if ketchup ever came out of a bottle that fast, I wouldn't know where to find my burger. Is all I'm saying.
Issue.
So I'm just thinking about this from, like a fairly, selfish standpoint. And I'm like, do I want that much ketchup on my burger? I don't think so. But okay. So conceptually, I think it's a cool idea. And I think we've all done the battle with like trying to get the ketchup or the whatever it is out with a knife or scraping it. But I mean, honestly, as a creative mind that I kind of already come to the table with, I'm already thinking of things that I think that are better solutions, like having something that you can push up from the bottom, right? Like something like that, like the push-up pops.
Yeah. Well, so there was a product a couple of years ago called the Spatty. And so it was a really small spatula that you could put into the bottles and scrape out the bottom of the bottles, but it still didn't clean the container like that. Like you still needed to use a bunch of water, to get the product, to really clean out the container. But so this liquid glide was put together by an MIT professor and student. And what happens is the liquid the film is actually put on the container itself on the inside. They're saying that itself is green friendly. But in the article, it talks about how the toothpaste packaging actually isn't green friendly. So my question is, it's all well and good to get the toothpaste out. I mean, one question I have is the same as you, is if the toothpaste comes out of,
like a big clump of toothpaste.
Toothpaste everywhere. I mean, everybody knows I'm a klutz. We've talked about it on the show before, so I could just imagine how much toothpaste there's going to be to clean up in that bathroom. But if the packaging that the toothpaste is in is not green friendly as it is, this film is going to make a difference in the fact that it's not going to be as wasteful. Although, if it comes out that fast, it could end up being wasteful.
In a different way. I look at this and I think there's two ways to tackle this, right? You either put something at the end of it so it doesn't just come out, right? Just like make it a squeeze tube instead, and then it still comes out, but not so fast. And then you kind of kill two birds with one stone. That may be the better solution. If it's covers the bird of sustainability, sustainable packaging, I think then, go with it, but figure out how to control the, what do you want to call it? Open the bottle and blank comes out.
So they found one solution, but they definitely need to refine it so that we don't have waste on the other side.
Yeah.
I think that's what we've sort of come to the conclusion with.
We're getting closer. Just got to get the two to find the perfect happy medium.
And the conversation that's going on over on LinkedIn right now is really funny. You guys are amazing. I love having these discussions with you because Holly was like, "What the hell does this have to?"
Because I'm like, what? Why are we talking about ketchup?
It has everything to do with supply chain, and I know that our audience is definitely going to resonate with this from a few different angles, right? Everybody uses toothpaste. Most people use ketchup, and I had some questions, so I figured, why not? We may as well talk about it. All right. So our next article is from Eric Johnson. So usually we only feature Eric Johnson's article when I have Audrey on the show. But this week was so cool that I thought we would have to bring this article up this week as well. So Eric Johnson, we all know, is from Journal of Commerce. He's the one that writes about technology in supply chain and logistics. This week, he decided to compare logistics to the NBA. And I watch basketball. I don't know everything about basketball, but I really like watching it. I like going to in-person games because they're fun and the energy and all that kind of stuff. But when I read this article about comparing logistics to NBA, totally blew my mind because I never ever really correlated it, except for the fact that there are some logistics functions
Right.
when it comes to the NBA and coordinating teams and all that kind of stuff. But what he's talking about in this article is how in basketball you have to come together on the court. And if one single point of failure happens during the game, there's a large breakdown in communication and what happens after that. And so it got him thinking, and then obviously a light bulb went off in my head about all of the disruptions that we've been having in logistics and how a single point of failure in our logistics, and we've had a variety of points of failure in the last couple of months, right? Including actually 2 that I'm going to bring up that came up this week. But it's created a huge disruption in logistics. So when you saw this one, what did you think, Holly?
Actually, my biggest takeaway on that one was the advancements. It's correlation. It's correlating the basketball game. Mind you, I don't know beans about basketball. Okay, I'm terrible at that. But it's correlating obviously the rules and the strategy of basketball to and basketball like techniques to supply chain techniques and technology specifically, and how we're big companies are just adding more and more tools and bells and whistles to their technology, and through this, it's almost watering down the individual player, each individual player's contribution from a more simplistic point of view, more simplistic level. That I thought was very interesting. How we've now added all of the in the basketball thing, right? It's like, oh, we've now added all of these different plays and these different methods, and we've taken by doing that, we keep adding all these different strategies to all these different players. We've now taken away their uniqueness and what brings them, that specific player, to the table, and allowing them to run that, to add value, add his or her own value to the game. And it's the same concept or a similar concept as I guess freight forwarding in my world is, we freight forwarders are, we're all jumping on the technology bandwagon, which we need to be. I mean, we're all needing to make sure that we're providing the visibility that we need to our customers. We're looking to ensure that our customers are getting real-time updates and stuff like that. But at what point is it becoming so saturated with all of these different technologies that we're, like, our operators, for instance, ones that are sitting behind the desk, are and I don't want to say that they're not doing their job, because they absolutely are doing their job, but at what point are we allowing them to shine individually and collectively as a whole, to add value to the service more so than the technology? I thought that was my biggest takeaway on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that, right? Because I think we also need to empower everybody individually within the logistics chain to really be able to do what we need to do to get through some of these disruptions. But it also goes to show how individual each supply chain really is, and what that looks like, and how we can actually take some hints from the NBA and the analytics within basketball to maybe take a step back and look at what we're doing in logistics and supply chain. One of the things that Eric said was more systems, more data, more talent, more analytics, more experience, more desire for progress. But logistics industry right now, because of all of the disruptions, is messier than ever before. I mean,
yeah, it is.
Just in the last week that happened. If you haven't seen anything about the Kaohsiung crane catastrophe that happened, go and check that out and Google it, because that is also going to be disruptive to anybody that calls the port of Kaohsiung. And then Lars Jensen actually put a post up yesterday about seafarers again. We are hearing way more about seafarers. And what happened was, one of the boats in China got COVID. The captain, unfortunately, has passed away. They are going to skip all the ports of call to take him back to Italy to lay him to rest. And all the seafarers, it's going to take months to do that. And all the seafarers that are on that boat are going to have to go with the boat to Italy to make that You guys have heard me talk about this before. There is a huge humanitarian crisis with our seafarers. So go and check out the Neptune Declaration. We all need to get behind this and raise our voice to really get behind the seafarers and everything that they're going through right now. But those are just two things that happened in the last, week that is really going to disrupt a lot of supply chains for people. All right. So the last one, which I like because I like American Eagle. American Eagle cut SKUs, speeds delivery with supply chain transformation. This one is awesome. And I want to ask you guys in the audience, are you going to be reducing your SKU counts? Because this is something that I've been hearing a lot about. In the fact that obviously the disruptions in logistics have affected distribution. And a lot of people are reducing their SKUs so that they don't have so much capital tied up in the product either being manufactured or being moved across from overseas. Holly, what did you think about this one?
I thought it was a great article. And, some of the things that I found very interesting about it is the strategy is, in their strategy is, increasing the number of facilities and thinking about that less, historically you think of facilities as just adding more inventory value, or I'm sorry, inventory cost, and storage, and all this stuff. But what how they're looking at it is more on the flexibility side and the opportunity costs of keeping the only what's necessary, right, within their facilities, but making sure that they're always stocked at their storefronts or able to fulfill their end consumer requirements for their highest demand products. What I didn't gather from the article was that this was a permanent solution. I see it as maybe a temporary to permanent, and I think that just goes along with the whole concept of being flexible and allowing more flexibility. So they may not be, owning these new facilities, but they're certainly running them now, and I think that may be a useful strategy for other companies in the future. Popping up temporary facilities to support their current need, right? In the market as it is right now, and then when necessary, they can consolidate that and those into smaller or into different closed facilities and consolidate the freight into other facilities, and control their costs that way, because you have a lot of opportunity cost if you're just doing the just-in-time concept, right? Ordering from origin. Right now, I think we all know that there's a high issue with getting freight from Asia and origin right now. So I think it's an intelligent move on their part. Reducing SKUs to what makes sense is I mean, inventory costs are the highest cost of any company's supply chain. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to have an additional cost added to the value chain, right, if you will, of your end product, you better be doing it to the products that have the most value.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, they were talking, I've been talking about micro warehousing for a long time. We've also been talking about manufacturing for local markets, right, rather than international markets. And so I think this is part of that conversation, right? They've expanded. Their DCs are Boston, Jacksonville, LA, and Chicago. And they're saying that they're delivering 1.5 days faster than they were in, I think it was 2019. And they have fewer shipments per order. So what they're talking about is having flexible inventory to be able to get the products to their customers a lot faster. And that seems to be the goal for them, rather than, and actually they talk about how their costs haven't increased that much. But one of the things that it does help with is increased returns. And we've seen that over the last year with the increase in e-commerce. And it's a sustainability challenge for a lot of companies. I know we're talking about sustainability a lot today. But it is about getting that product after the return back into rotation to be sold to customers. Yeah. So really, really interesting article. I implore you guys to go and check that out. Peter, I know you are keeping me in check right now. We've got almost 30 seconds left. I'm surprised I didn't see my 2-minute mark from you, but that's okay. Kadar over on my personal LinkedIn says, great point, Holly, about the technology and what we were talking about with Eric's article. And yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us today. We've got about 15 seconds left. Next week, Audrey is back with me on Thoughts and Coffee, and I cannot wait to share with you what we're going to be talking about at that point. Go and check out our store. We've got 10% off your purchase. And again, we're going to be giving away some free merch at the end of this month, and can't wait to see who wins that. Holly, thank you so much for joining me today on Thoughts and Coffee.
I loved it. Thank you again for having me.